excited to see you all here. Can you believe that we are halfway through the program? Can you believe that? I can barely believe it. Just like any online workshop, if you could just keep your microphone muted until, of course, it's time to speak. In the meantime, you can use the Zoom chat to engage, to voice your opinion, to ask questions or suggest things. That chat is yours for the taking. And if you drop off the call, no problem whatsoever. You can rejoin at the same link, always bit.ly/turnworkshop, and you'll come right back in the room. And Lucas will be with my very sick computer, helping you get to where you need to go. So like I said, we're here at workshop 6. It's time to prepare for our tests. Such an exciting moment, truly probably the most exciting moment of the program. We're going to focus on the who, what, where, when, and how of our test, design the whole process. We're going to be thinking about the types of questions that we want to ask our users, our testers, to get great feedback. And we are going to reflect on our stories, the stories that we want to tell about ourselves and about our businesses to engage our users. So let's hop in. Without goals, we're running in place, people. We need to have a destination for our journey. So today, by the end of this workshop, we're hoping that you have a plan for how you're going to show your business idea, how you're going to display your prototype. We're hoping that you're beginning to formulate a story that you will tell your testers to help them understand what you're doing and make them feel excited. And you're going to know how to ask for feedback and what of the 2 methods you'll use. And you might even have a few questions by the end of this workshop. So those are the goals. Let's hope to reach them. We're going to do this through a series of different components. We've got Turn Champion Ghazal here, who's going to share with us her own test experience in the beginning. We're going to dive into the why, set some goals, and the what, create our prototypes first. Then we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll discuss the where, the when, the who, and the how you will design your test setup and ask the questions and gather the feedback. Okay, so that's our plan for today. If you're like, oh my God, I don't know what any of this means or what it is, we're gonna, by the end of the workshop, we're gonna know. It's gonna be amazing. You guys, this workshop is meant to be until 8:15. It's one of the big workshops. That's why we made it in person. If we run over today, I just want you to expect potentially that we will run 5 to 10 minutes over today. And that's that. Happy Refugee Week. It's so exciting. We get our own week in this place that we call home, London. There's tons of different events happening. Turn is doing some things. For example, the Anka Collective pop-up is happening online at ankacollective.org. Very exciting. The theme of Refugee Week this year is healing. Healing, one of the most important paths that we're on in this world. You can check out their full events calendar. So sorry, this is the Anka Collective pop-up that Turn is doing. You can check out the full events calendar on the Refugee Week website to see what's going on around the city. Some members of our community are doing really cool things. For example, Usman of Haven Coffee, he is doing a comedy fundraiser called Laugh-A-Chino. That's tomorrow evening, in case you're interested in checking it out. What I would really love is, I know that you guys are all busy as well, doing tons of interesting things. If you are participating in any Refugee Week activities, or you know of any cool activities going on that celebrates this very important theme of healing and this, this very important week of the year, please pop them in the chat. We would love to hear what people in the community are doing, and maybe we can even attend some cool events together. So please let us know, and happy Refugee Week to all of you. You guys, this is what we've been doing. In case you've been living under a rock, we've been using the design thinking process to design a truly valuable offering. Okay. And this is how some of the most valuable businesses solve people's real problems and meet their needs and desires, right? So they start out understanding the users, their problems, and why they have those problems in order to create these really cool, creative potential solutions that meet those customers' needs and desires. Okay. Then we build a prototype, a model, and we put it to the test with real users to double check with them. Is it actually a great solution? We get feedback from those users that we can use to refine the idea that we take forward. And in the end, the offering is a result of an entrepreneur's true understanding of what adds value to the life of a consumer, of their customer, right? So we've done all this, you guys. We've thought about our customers. We've empathized with our customers. We've defined last week an MVP and a few unique selling points that we want to focus on. And now it's time for the test, you guys. So last week, you had your minimum valuable product or service. You talked about the features that you wanted to have. What makes it minimum? What makes it valuable? And what is going to make it unique? What's going to help you stand apart from all the other people who are doing similar things to you? Right? So now that you have an MVP idea, it's time to make a prototype. Because your MVP idea is not the same as your market ready MVP. So it's not the same as the MVP that you will launch out into the market that is ready to be created and launched to the actual customers. First, we need to create this prototype. It's like a model. It's not the real thing. It's a representation of the real thing. It's a sample. Okay. And we're going to test that model version. This feedback that you get on real users engaging with the prototype is what you're going to use to improve the MVP idea to make it market ready. So from our experience testing and from the feedback that the users, we figure out what is not ready yet and make it ready, make it market ready. So think of this like a practice before a show, a theater show, or like an architect would build a model before they build the building, right? This is what we're doing now. This testing is all about a cycle of improvement, okay? And all entrepreneurs are caught in this cycle of improvement, continuously improving their offerings. Testing is not a one-time. It's not like you're going to test now next week or 2 weeks from now, and then you're going to be done testing. It's never finished. The circle is to test it. And of course, because it is a test, to make mistakes and to fail on certain aspects, and then to learn what needs changing and to fix it. Don't be afraid to make small mistakes or even big mistakes, because this is the time that is about making mistakes and understanding the mistakes. You can tweak it. You can learn from the feedback, fix the things and make them better. That's literally the point of the test. Okay. So it doesn't have to be perfect. This cycle, it doesn't mean you're caught in the cycle forever and you never launch. It means that a good founder, even after they launch, are still going to be continuously improving, even after they are successful. So the best businesses continue to improve. Businesses that don't continue to improve go out of business over time, even if they've been in business for a long time, because times change, right? Over the next few weeks, we're going to focus on this full circle, okay? So if you don't go through the full circle, then you have not completed the job. So if you just test, but then you do not improve, then you haven't really gone through the cycle. It's going to be a 5-week cycle phase. Okay, so last week we determined our MVP. Today we are going to do a lot of planning of our test and creating the prototype. Okay, so it's about now planning and preparing your prototype and how you will get the feedback. That's this week in the workshop, and next week test prep week. Then we will actually carry out the test. Thursday and Friday, the 7th and 8th of July will be the actual test event. And then 1 week after the test, we will be back to group workshops. So there's no workshops again until then. Workshop 7, we will take our learnings from the test and learn how to analyze our findings and refine the MVP from there. Okay, so this is the testing phase is now happening now, and we're here in the planning weeks. And then next week, we will ask you to come to the Hoxton WeWork with your mentor and to work together so we can prepare and plan your tests. So exciting. Before we move on and talk about your test, we have a very special champion, Ghazal, who is here with us. She created an absolutely amazing test. She's an amazing artist and creator, so of course, whatever she creates is beautiful and amazing. But she had such a great test that we wanted her to come and share with us how she created that, how she learned and refined her MVP and her business idea from there. So Ghazal is here with us. Hi, Ghazal.
Hi, all. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all.
Hello. Welcome, Ghazal. Please tell us, how did you create such an amazing test, and what was your experience like?
Let's see how I did that. So, hello all. My name is Ghazal, and I'm an artist with a focus in illustration. My unique interest is to create illustration for children who have special needs and specifically autism. I was in this program last year, sitting just like you, about to prepare for my own test event. Before I was in the program, I knew that I wanted to make illustrations for children with special needs, but I was really confused about how specifically. In the first few weeks, I thought a lot about my idea and decided to try to focus on kids with autism. I decided my MVP would be my children's illustrations, and my USP was that my illustrations are directed at children with autism. My first try to create art that reaches children with autism was Judy's World. I created a prototype of Judy, the character, which you can see here on the screen. Judy represents my target audience. I made a book called Judy's World, featuring Judy, an autistic girl, as the lead character. I create illustration to reach and affect the kids who are living with autism or other special needs, to feel like there's a special place for them in the world, and to give hope to their parents that their children are able to learn. How I choose my prototype? I have been observing some families' lives with special needs children. I read books about how to understand and teach art to autistic children, and also books which have been created for them before. And I watched documentaries about autistic families, how they manage their lives, improve their children's skills, and how they feel. Judy's World was my first try at an illustrated book for children with autism. I made each frame of my book in a big size to create a good vision. And I also chose some famous people's pictures who had autism to use as example, so my audience can relate and understand what am I talking about. Already starts to show my message, which is that there is a special place in the world for people with autism, and that they are artistic and intelligent. For example, when the audience takes a look at Tim Burton's picture, the first thing they remember is that he's a famous and talented director who has created many wonderful movies. But wait a minute, is he autistic? I have to say yes. I prepared some leaflets about autism for people who don't know much. In the leaflet, people could read a brief but complete explanation of autism and its word, so people can understand this concept better. And I also made some booklets as a simple example of my product, which people can carry it easily. The most interesting and important part is designing your table, designing your presentation place. First, you have to ask yourself how you want to design it for your presentation, and then ask another question: why? Is it related to your idea? Does it represent your idea well? If yes, so go on. Then make a checklist of everything you want and have to do. What do you already have in your house or in your community to decorate and present your table? And what do you need to get or make to your table amazing? Make a friendly and engaging presentation so people are able to ask questions and give positive feedback. Start your presentation with a warm hello and welcome, and don't forget to smile. If you have a sense of humor, please use a little bit of that. Presentations are like stories. Make them easy and nice to listen to. People listen to stories better than the news, so explain your idea like a story. It seems that it is describing your journey. How I planned to collect feedback. The most important things for me was as much information as possible about children's illustration, and specifically how children with autism engage with art and books. So I used two kind of methods. One of them was interviews and conversation. I started to explain my idea, my features, and my interests for the future. They found some questions and asked them of me, so we started a conversation with each other. It was not like that where I just explained my idea and they just listen and pass from my table. No, it wasn't like that. The second one was I made a Google form survey. Most of the people at the test would be general population, not necessarily my target market of people with autistic children in their lives. So I mostly focus on my survey on getting information about people's favorite illustrations as children and art that makes them feel calm and happy. Also, I tried to find out more about organizations and artists who work with special needs kids in London, just in case it would help with my research and experience. But when someone told me that they did have an autistic kid in their life, or that they had worked with autistic children before, I would then begin to interview them about their experience with those children and finding books for those children. Your idea going to change during this test. Be sure about that. You will receive many new ideas, suggestions, and new ways to develop your business. For example, one of the suggestions for me was to translate my books in some languages of countries where books for autistic people don't exist yet or are difficult to find. Another one was the idea to work with charities or schools. And also, lots of positive feedback influenced my confidence. Be sure you are going to receive lots of positive feedback on that day. People will be there to understand your idea and support you and encourage you. I can give you some tips and tricks that help me make my presentation more effective. First of all, choose one idea and stick to it. Less is more. Too many features or ideas get confusing and makes you crazy, the feedback and insight. Then start early and work hard to prepare your prototype. There will always be things you don't expect, like rain. Then confident body language, open, welcoming, and positive to invite good feedback, like hello and welcome to my table, or hi, nice to meet you. Let me explain my product or my interesting journey, or for example, have you ever heard of, for example, my bread or my books or my clothes? I will explain it to you. My name is, for example, Ghazal, and blah 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 blah. Show your passion. If you are not excited, no one else will be it either. When you are presenting your ideas, show your passion, your interest, which makes you proud. Listen well to their question and comments. If you don't understand their question, ask them to repeat it or say it in another way that is easier for you to understand. Don't be afraid to ask this from the audience. English people are so nice. Make something as a gift for testers who want them, something to remember you by. For example, I made some bookmarks with Judy's head, my main book's personality. People who use it remember me, my product, and my business all the time. I also prepared some thank you cards and wrote a simple sentence about how I am happy to meet them and how thankful I am that they shared their time with me and came to see my product. I also prepared some cupcake and also put some books about the autism, and yeah, it was like that. I hope my presentation could help you get new ideas and confidence. I wish you all a wonderful and successful test and hope to see you all on that day. Thank you so much to listen to my presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Nice one, Ghazal.
Thank you.
Ghazal, I just muted you because I think there's a little bit of feedback, but does anybody have any questions for Ghazal about her test experience? Very exciting to see that journey. Don't be shy. Anybody have a question for Ghazal, who's just done the exact thing that you're about to do? Maybe anything you're questioning?
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. It's a nice story, and I wish I will do the same thing. But I want to ask you if I have a different project, like testing food. But part from my project will be missing because I have to order it from another country, like wrap sandwich with a special drink. This is a special drink. It's coming with a special machine. It will be I will be ordered from Turkey. Okay, how can I make the test without it?
So,
the food, but without this drink, this will be. Do you think it will be effective? Because I need to be survey about the whole this meal. Because main goal for me, I sell the food or the drink, make some profit.
okay, so first of all, it's really important for you to how to present your idea. Prepare yourself with a full of information about your product. People don't need to just test your food or your drink or something else. If you can explain it, that it is exists and how it is fabulous product, they're gonna believe that and they're gonna accept your ideas. And it's really depend on your information and the presentation which you will give in that day.
Okay, thank you. Maybe can I make instead a picture or drink? How can I create it?
Yes, of course, you can have a picture of that or make a leaflet about your drinks. And if it has a story or a history in your country, you can put it in the leaflet and add some picture about that. Yeah, why not?
Okay, cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice one. We've got another question for you in the chat here. How many people can you, oh, sorry. How long did it take you from start to end to complete your prototype of Judy's World and your images of famous autistic people, and then the large blow up art pieces from Judy's World that you created?
Okay. If you want how it takes long for me for the prototype, I can say when I start my workshops, this prototype started with me, and it still continue. I still read many books, and I have some courses about special needs and autistic kids. And but for the test, for preparing myself for the test, it just took for me 48 hours, around 2 days, to prepare my all illustrations and my idea about bookmarks or booklets. But the idea for your product, I can say there isn't any end for it. All the time you're gonna have new ideas, new information. You can't find any ending for it.
Nice. Yeah, and I think like every prototype is different, right? Because you had a very, very, very hands-on sort of creative process, whereas some people's prototypes are very different or are a simulation. How many people can you expect to test or speak to over the course of a test session?
Honestly, I can't remember how many people were in that time in my test, but yeah, I don't know how many people it were. I don't know, but you can speak as much as you have energy in your body.
I think we have about 30 testers per event. So Ghazal, people were coming up to your table like in small groups at a time, right? Like a small group.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happened maybe 4 or 5 times over the course of the event.
Yeah, which I remember. I just talk all the time, non-stop talking. But it was so funny, and yeah, it was a good memory for me.
Any other last questions? Oh, here we go, Lucas. What would you say was your biggest learning and takeaway from the test?
Oh, good question. Honestly, I don't have enough self-confidence in myself, and all the time it's really hard for me to start speaking with the people, especially people who I don't know them at all. And in that test was a nightmare for me. All the time I thought, okay, how can I start it? How can I speak with the other people? Oh my God, I will die or something like that. But when it started, I just started. I don't know how it happened. And it was just about the team which supported me all the time. And yeah, I found that I can do it. I can do it even in another languages. So yeah, it was the biggest thing for me in that time. And the support which I received from the Terran group in that day.
Aww.
One
That's
last
nice.
question.
Go for it, Ashton.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. How was your from your initial idea towards your end product or service? In this case, your service. How did it make you feel with the feedback from the people who was in the testing? How was that process?
You mean how was the feedback for me?
Yes.
Uh,
And the changes that you made to your initial prototype.
As I said in my presentation, I received very good suggestion and feedbacks. The feedbacks, for example, I can say 99% were positive. And it encouraged me to continue it. And I found in that day, yeah, so my idea, my goal is correct. So I have to continue it. And the suggestion with the which I received in that day actually, yeah, changed my mind. For example, one of them told me translate my books in some countries which are you can't really easily find the autistic books. I think it is the best idea, best suggestion which I received in that day. And or work for the charities or special needs school before the test. I never thought about that at all, and they just comes. This idea just comes in that day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ghazal, for coming and sharing with us your amazing test. We could all aspire to have a test table that was as attractive and interesting as Ghazal's. Of course, there's many different types of tests out there, so everybody's test is going to look totally different, and we'll have tons of examples throughout this presentation. But thank you so much, Ghazal, for sharing with us your tips and tricks and for having such an amazing test that everyone can learn from.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ghazal. Again, maybe Ghazal, you could post your Instagram in the chat, and that way people can follow you and check out your new website, and just stay.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, you guys. There's 5 steps to designing a test as amazing as Ghazal's, okay? The very first step is to figure out why you are testing. Why are you doing this? What is your goal? We always want to start with the why. Then we're going to go into the what. What are you going to test? What exactly is the prototype that you are going to put to the test? Who is your audience? You need to know who is going to be engaging with your test so that you know how to connect with them and how you will do it. How are you going to present your prototype, your story, and how will you collect feedback? What methods will you use? And last but not least, the where and the when. So getting clear about when you will test and where it will be so that you know what you're working towards and you can prepare to fit into the space on the day. So we're going to start with the why and the what. So let's get clear on the why. Why are you testing particular features of your business? Set some goals for your test, because like we say, without goals, you are running in place. So what are we working towards? What's the point of all of this? Everything can be in service to your why. So it could be something very simple. It could be, I want to find out which of my dishes I should include on my menu. You know, maybe you're a great cook. You can cook 40 or 50 different things, but you're trying to figure out what do you want on an MVP, minimum and valuable menu. Maybe it's, I want to get to know where in London I could best serve my target market. Maybe you're trying to figure out, you know, what neighborhoods or what businesses to target when you're building your clients or researching your customers. Or even it could be as simple as, I want to get better at talking about my business idea with people. Maybe you have a business idea that you're still learning about and you want to just be networking and talking to people about it and just learn new things. Think about what you're trying to find out. That's going to lead to you designing your test the way that you do. Yes, you have goals for the test, but try to keep a certain mindset when testing, which is a real curiosity about what other people think and feel about your business idea, because that's the point, right? If it's all the time in your head, that's one thing. When you're with others, it's about finding out what they think, right? This means really and actively encouraging people to tell you what they really think, and of course, why they think that. This all comes with having an open mind, being open-minded. Any entrepreneur needs to be excited about learning what's working and what's not working yet. Excited about the unknown, excited about what their customers say that they do not expect. That's where the real learning is going to happen, with the new perspectives that maybe we do not anticipate, we do not know about yet. Sure, we want approval. Like Gasol said, it's really nice for confidence, especially when people give you a lot of positive feedback. But it's not only about positive feedback. It's about finding out what is ready and what is not ready so that you can make it ready, right? So an honest curiosity to find out how successful your product is among other people, listening for new ideas about what changes you can make for it to be so. And this leads us to the what. What are you going to test? So what do you need to learn more about? What do you need other people's eyes on? Okay, plan what your prototype will be, what features you will include, what pieces of the puzzle you will include, what materials you need to create it, and how you will demonstrate its usefulness or how it works. Think about what you want to bring to the test and how you're actually going to create these things. How much is it going to cost to create these things? What materials do you need to create these things? What do you already have and what do you still need to build this prototype and to demonstrate it? So when you're putting this together, use your why to decide which features you're choosing to include in the test over other features. Okay, so some parts of your idea will be in the test and other parts not so much yet. Okay, so are you going to be testing the product and service features themselves? Is it going to be a sample? Is it going to be a role play? Will you be creating like a simulation where you ask the testers to play a part? How are they going to be engaging with your product or service? Are these the features that you need to bring in? Or maybe are you thinking more process and fulfillment features? So are you testing the way that you plan to deliver the product or get the product and service to the customers? Or are you asking people how they usually get what you're offering? Are you thinking about packaging? Are you thinking about a menu? These kinds of features. Or maybe it's about the customer service. Are you going to show how trading with your business is going to feel different? Do you want to get a sense of what people expect from customer service in your industry, or what they think is amazing customer service that goes above and beyond? Or maybe you're looking more at testing your story and brand features. Maybe it's more about what gets them excited or what helps them to really understand why you made this or why it's very special, right? So let's look at a few examples of tests in the past and why they chose those certain features, okay? So here's Gobika. You may have met her before in the past. She loves to make art. She loves to celebrate life. So at this time in ICE Academy, when she was going through the program, her MVP was a party decoration company for events, like weddings and birthday parties and this kind of thing. Her unique selling points were, of course, her beautiful and unique handmade decorations, as well as her customer service. Okay, so she had this idea that in her customer service, she would take care of everything so that you can just enjoy your party and you don't have to think about anything. It's like a full service decorations. Okay, so she decided to create a prototype including 2 special features: the product themselves, so the actual decorations to show her style of offerings, and also the customer service feature of the full service decoration service. So she wanted to speak to people about their experiences having a wedding or a special party and what kinds of things they wanted taken care of for them, or what kinds of challenges they experienced with the decoration. Okay, from Golbika's insights at the test, from including these product features and from including this customer experience features, she got so much positive feedback. Okay, so first of all, she found out that the full service customer experience part was very important. It was more important than she thought. A lot of people told her about their experiences being frustrated with having to do too many things on the day of the wedding and just wishing that there was someone who could have done that. So you can actually see reflected in her final brand strapline on the left side here. Her brand ended up being called Nama Party, and her actual strapline is "We create, you celebrate." So you can see that that full service customer experience became such a core part of her business because of these test feedbacks. Another piece of feedback that she got was that on her product was that she was using these plastics and sort of like hazardous materials, and she got so much feedback about making things environmentally friendly. So she actually pledged after this to only use sustainable materials for her handmade products, and that became another one of her unique selling points, was that she uses all sustainable materials. This was Angie. She was making tons and tons of hair accessories during the pandemic. She wanted to start a hair accessories company. That was her MVP. And her unique selling points were that they were handmade by her. Okay, but she had a little bit of a dream. She wanted to somehow figure out how to give back to LGBTQ organizations that serve asylum seekers and refugees. She wanted to figure out a way to make her brand connected to helping these organizations and to raising awareness about asylum seekers and refugees who come from queer backgrounds. So she brought that aspect of the story and brand to the test. And she also brought a process and fulfillment challenge, which was that she did not yet have packaging. So you can see here on the left side, she created a few different like packaging options and was like showing that to people and collecting feedback about the packaging. Okay, so she brought these features to the test. She got so much positive feedback about the social aspect of the product, and she got so many ideas on packaging. And actually, in the end, these two things fused together. So I'll show you, because of these types of questions that she asked during the test, she actually came up with a packaging solution that also tells the stories that raise awareness about queer asylum seekers on the actual packaging. So she realized she could make the packaging like a booklet. So the insights that she gained about how to tell her story and represent her brand actually merged with her process and fulfillment, so the packaging, to create this really unique packaging that both serves her social mission, is also functional and attractive packaging solution that really helps her brand stand apart from the millions of other hair accessories that are on the market. So she was able to create a truly unique offering from these test insights. Last but not least, we've got Raymond. Raymond's MVP was a Namibian barbecue grill. He's an amazing cook that offers delicious food and great events and community vibes that would make his spot really unique and a place that people would want to go. He was a great cook, but he wasn't sure exactly what to offer as his first menu items. So that was his product features. He brought a few different options: homemade bread, herb butter, barbecue ribs, sausages, and he brought a few different sauces that you could try it with, okay? He also wanted to bring this customer experience side. So he wanted to test out the energy of what he called fire, food, and friends, which was what he wanted his customer experience to be, okay? He got amazing feedback on this barbecue that he brought. He was live barbecuing. People loved it. They loved his warm music that he was playing, the vibes coming from the station. You could see Raymond, he's an amazing character. It helped him get really clear on the customer experience side. If you go to his stall in Mercado Metropolitano today, you will see an active fire and like a cool beachy barbecue shack aesthetic. Okay, so he got so much positive feedback on this that it's reflected even now in his actual food stall. He also got great feedback about creating vegetarian options, which he did not have before, as well as a lot of positive feedback. Best ribs I've ever had was said multiple times, and people loved his peri peri sauce on the ribs. So today, again, if you go to Mercado Metropolitano, on his menu are those very same ribs and the peri peri that stood out in the test, and some of this other stuff that just didn't matter as much in his feedback, he just let go and moved forward. Huge hit at the test. Everybody wanted to be at Raymond Station. So when you make your prototype, you can look at your ideas for the MVP and remove any features that are too expensive to make or could take too long. Less is more in this instance. So test the features that are important, but you don't have to test them all. Just focus on a few key features that you want to learn more about or that you want to work out. Okay? So now we're going to go into our first breakout. We're going to work on the why and the what of our test. Like always, you want to start with the why, figuring out your goals. What do you want to learn? What do you want to find out? What are you looking to dig deep into? What's challenging you? Figuring out in these features. We're going to get this very clear before we move forward, and then you're going to go to the what. What is your prototype exactly? So not just like an idea, but you're really going to build this prototype. Now is the time you're really going to build it. So what exactly is it? What is it made out of? How does it work? What do you need to create it? Okay, this is the time now where we're going to start practically speaking about it, not an idea, but a real thing. And pick at least 2 features that you want to focus on testing. If you're not ready yet to write into your Google Doc, you can also go to your Journey Journal, page 24, get creative and start drawing your prototype or making a list or whatever. There's lots of space back there for you to do it a bit more creatively. Okay, so does anybody have any questions for this 25-minute breakout of why and what of your test, setting your goals and deciding what will be your prototype? Anybody have questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know if I missed it. My internet was a bit fuzzy at the beginning. The type of people who are going to be at the event, is it just like a mix? Because one of the things I've been thinking about is our target customer going to be there?
So it is a mix, and we'll talk more at length later on in the presentation about who they will be, but it will be like a mix of general people. So they will be all obviously consumers, but like Ghazal said, she kind of had like a more general survey about things that anybody could respond to. And then she had also like some questions in her back pocket for people who had autistic children in their lives or had worked with autistic children.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. Enjoy. We'll see you in 25 minutes.
Okay. Now that we've all had the break of our dreams, we are back to discuss the rest of this test preparation, specifically the who, the how, the where, and the when. Remember, there's 5 steps to an amazing test. You've already begun figuring out the first 2. Let's look at who your testers are going to be, how you will use this test to collect valuable feedback to be able to refine your MVP. And lastly, where and when you will be testing. The who, okay? This is simple. Who is your test audience? And how are you going to design your test in a way that helps them to connect with you? Now, when you're planning your own tests, you can choose who your testers will be. And actually, even in this test, you can invite people to come who you want to be a part of your test. But for this particular test that's coming up, Turn is doing a lot of the promotion to bring the audience and to bring the testers to the event. So the people that we invite to the event are people who are very familiar with Turn. They're people who are very familiar with business and with design thinking. And they are also, like many of us, consumers, obviously, okay? Also, Ben & Jerry's is going to invite lots of people to provide feedback. So it could be their staff members or members of their network and friends. They're also going to be providing free ice cream for the event to get everyone on a sugar high so that they'll be talking a lot. Turn is going to invite a few different parts of our network. So obviously our staff will all be there. We're going to invite members of our supporter community. So mentors, business buddies, and advisors. So people who are currently supporting entrepreneurs or who have supported entrepreneurs in the past, sometimes through a test as well. We'll be inviting our champions and alumni. So a lot of the people that you see here teaching these courses. And of course, some members of our wider network, including our partners at the Trampery and the cool members that the Trampery has. So the venue location, the people that work there. So as you can see, you're going to meet a lot of new people, a lot of different types of people, and get feedback from many different perspectives, which is great. Sometimes these testers might actually be a member of your target market. Other times they will not. Okay. Like Ghazal mentioned, and like was mentioned earlier before the breakout, it would be great for you to make general questions on your survey and then use specific questions just for people who you meet who represent your target market. You want to begin building community with these people. These are the first few people who are really engaging with your business. So if you have a LinkedIn already, connect with them on LinkedIn, or you can also create an email list to put on your table that you can begin to collect your first contacts, business contacts, okay? You should also totally invite your own testers. This goes out to business buddies and entrepreneurs. So if there's certain people that you want to be there at the test to help test your idea and also other people's ideas or people that you know who are interested in Turn, please invite them. If it's members of your target market, please invite them via Eventbrite. You can go to bit.ly/testmyidea. Most of you who are on Turn's email list have already received communications about registering for this. So you can also see your email, but you could go to bit.ly/testmyidea and we will also WhatsApp this to you. Now that you know who your testers are going to be, how are you going to help them to engage with you and be excited about you and give you all the questions and help you solve all of your problems? So we've arrived now at the how. How will you set up your test station in a way that shows and tells your idea? And how are you going to ask questions How are you going to record the feedback that is going to help you improve? Just for some context, this is what the event setup is going to look like. Okay, there's going to be between 5 and 7 tables set up, and small groups of about 6 to 10 testers will move from table to table, listening to each table, each entrepreneur, and engaging with their prototypes. Okay, so basically you'll be at your own table, and a group of like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people will come, approach your table all at once. And that's when you show, you tell, and ask all at the same time for about 10 minutes, that group, each group about 10 minutes. So that makes it easy for you to show and tell to like a few people at the same time so that you don't have to constantly be talking. And you can have a critical mass of engagement from users with your test. Okay, so after that 10 minutes, they'll move on to the next test, and you can kind of recalibrate your table, and then your next group comes. Okay, now sometimes some people will be coming up to your table in between, like someone who's like late, or they weren't with a group, or maybe somebody's on a break from another table, like a mentor, and they want to come over and see what you're doing. So it will be pretty like constant, like engagement, but like those groups, official groups, will be coming every 10 minutes. When a group of testers approach your table, of course you want to welcome them, but ultimately a really amazing test is going to be made up of 3 parts. Okay, so firstly, the show. You're going to show your prototype. You're going to show it off. You're going to point at it. You're going to put it up on a stand, and you're going to present it nicely on a hanger, whatever, however you're going to present it. Secondly, you're going to tell them about it. You're going to talk about it. You're going to explain what it is, how it came to be, why you're doing it, how it works, and how they can demonstrate or interact with it for the test. Tell them what you would like them to do. And finally, you're going to ask them for feedback. So you're going to ask them questions. You're going to ask them to fill out your survey and learn more about how people feel and think about your business concept. So while you're showing, few important tips, you want to focus on the prototype and demonstrating it. That's what you're really showing. You can display it, or you can demo it, make something interactive if it's a service. You can decorate it and decorate the table around it to show and give some context, some aesthetic, and some of your other features. Okay, so it's a chance to really show off your idea. So make it count. People make really cool testing stations. Each person will have a testing station of their own. So it's very important to think about how you're going to set up your table. Your table design can help people to understand your business idea, and it can be helpful for showing and telling. Okay, so how are you going to display it? Think all the way through. How are you going to display your prototype? How are you going to portray the story and the brand features with your table? Your priority, the most important thing, is to have a great prototype and very well thought out feedback methods. Okay, so having a very beautiful table is not going to be enough for a successful test. So make sure you prioritize the feedback and the prototype. However, it is very fun. This is what you're going to have: one table, a 6-foot table. This is what the table will actually probably look like. They both come in red and black. But yeah, like, do you have certain decorations? Are there things that you would like to print out? Are there books that you'd like to bring, or signs? Would you like a tablecloth? Do you need like silverware and serving plates? Like, what do you need to have? And some of the things you're going to have already lying around in your house, and some things you're going to need to get. So here, for example, on the left side, you can see Wissam, who created this beautiful table board, the mosaic board. He had these beautiful Syrian furniture and handicrafts at his home, and he brought them to show how his product was rooted in Arabic architecture. and as well to show how the product could be placed in a beautiful home environment. So it really showed the context of his boards and what they were for, how it fit into a living space. So he made a context for his product. He also brought like a book about Islamic design to show how the designs were rooted in ancient Islamic design. Now, these ladies up on the top right, they brought visual merchandising display objects to show off their jewels. They brought a clothing rack to show off their dresses, and they printed a lookbook with lots of different photos of the things that they were gonna retail and put it in a beautiful binder. And here in the lower right, you can see this is Guncha. She brought beautiful handicrafts and dishes that showed her heritage and the heritage of the food that she was serving for her food business. So there might be things that you have around you already that will help you show and tell your product and reflect your business idea and yourself. Are there any art, props, decorations that you already have? Are there graphs or research that you could present that helps get the value of your idea across more easily? Do you have any proof of the existing problems, needs, and desires of your customers that you are solving that you could include on your table as a way to show and tell the value of your offering? You want to tell the testers about the story of how the idea was born. Okay, so like any story, there's a past, a present, and a future of this idea and of your experience as a founder. So for example, let's say that someone was a button entrepreneur. They might say that I have been working with my father in a tailoring shop since I was 13 years old. And I always used to love to play in the tubs full of buttons. I collected buttons for 12 years before I decided that I wanted to collect and sell special buttons on eBay. One day, I hope to open a button museum. Tell the story, tell them the reason for the business idea and why it's special. You also want to consider who is your audience. So some of you might even want to ask them questions like, are any of you a vegetarian? Or where do you work? So that might help you to understand if somebody is a part of your customer segment. And it also helps you to learn a little bit more about them so that you know what they need you to explain to them, right? So let's say, you know, you're creating like a really cool food that's from another country. Like Raymond, for example, he might have had to explain to people the concept of the South African barbecue, the braai, and why it's so cool and unique, because like his audience were not South Africans, so they did not know necessarily that he was representing a whole culture. You also want to think about your tone. So you're doing very early branding now, so you're conveying certain messages. Are you being very fun? Like Ghazal is a children's illustrator, so she's all like in her test, but that's not really her personality necessarily, but it's what she brought to the test because that was her tone. Do you need to be very professional and very serious, or is it more like casual? Like think about how your business is going to sound one day and start having that tone. And lastly, be yourself, you guys. This is your business. You and the business, same thing at this point, okay? It's all rooted in you, so just be comfortable and tell the truth. There's no question that has an answer that you don't know about your business. So there's nothing you need to study. You know the answer to everything. And if you don't know, then you don't know. And then that's an important thing to recognize is still a part of what you're learning. And last but not least, you're going to want to make an easy and effective way to capture information that you need. Okay, so you want to ask deep questions, you want to ask numerical type questions, and you want to figure out which methods and tools you're going to use to capture this. Okay, so how do we ask these questions? It all comes back to understanding the feelings of the tester. So how do we go about asking the right questions and capturing the data? There's two types of information that we are going to try to capture, okay? One is qualitative, quality. This is about the quality of someone's experience, unique perspectives based on a person's individual senses and individual experiences, okay? So this is about describing things. It's more like words and images. It's more open-ended questions where everyone's answer might be completely different. But if you ask enough people, then you can start to see patterns even in all those different responses, okay? So for example, a qualitative question might be, what was your experience going to the cinema tonight, right? Every answer is going to be different. Quantitative, meaning quantity data, quantity related, is about numbers and patterns of numbers that can be measured. Okay, so like population, demographics, economics, all this is usually like quantitative data. So for example, you might say, how often do you go to the cinema in 1 month, right? And there's like one answer. I go 1 time a month. I go 2 times a month. I go 3 times a month. Qualitative data. So let's say you're doing a dumpling test, okay? The qualitative data question might be, how did the dumplings taste to you? What did you notice about the way that the dumplings were served? What was your favorite part about the dumplings? How might I improve these dumplings? Everybody's answers could be different and there could be brand new insights. The quantitative data questions might be something more like, how many dumplings did you eat today? How many times a month do you eat dumplings? How much would you pay for these dumplings? 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, pick one, right? So you can and absolutely should collect both quantitative and qualitative data, okay? And when you're asking questions, don't seek confirmation, seek information. In other words, you want to try to find out what you don't know, not what you already do know. So you've heard it before, feedback sometimes can be like vegetables to a little kid. They are not really liking it, but it's good for them, okay? But it's not meant to be taken personally. It's meant for you to be better and more successful after you hear it, okay? So when you're thinking about which questions to ask, think about, what do I still need to understand? What do I still need more information about? What am I figuring out about my business idea, about my customers, or about my industry? Ask questions that get you information about those things, okay? Earlier, I mentioned like deep questions, and when it comes to asking questions, it's very much a skill, okay? Anyone can learn this skill of asking good questions. And it's important because good questions give good answers. They give deep answers, okay? So a shallow question, for example, did you like this dumpling? They can just answer yes or no. Yes, I liked the dumpling, okay? And remember as well that we're in Britain. So unless you ask directly and really encourage people, they might avoid giving you truthful feedback that is not polite. So instead, we want to ask deep questions that lead to deep insights, okay? So here's a few examples of some deep questions. What feature did you find most useful and why? What would you add or remove from this product or service? What competitors to my product or service would you consider, and how do they compare to mine? How am I doing better and what am I not doing as well? How might you use this product in your everyday life? Or directly saying, how can I improve this? How could I improve this? These types of questions don't lead to yes or no questions. They lead to deep, detailed answers. And that's what you want to be getting. There's two different ways that you will collect feedback, my friends. The first is interviews. Interview is a fancy word for a conversation. You ask a question and then somebody responds, and then based on their response, you ask them more questions. It's like a two-way street. They're really good for understanding individual preferences and habits. Okay, so you can make a bunch of questions like a script, but you don't have to stick to the script necessarily, but it's good to have questions already laid out. And then sometimes you deviate and sometimes you come back. Then there's going to be surveys. Surveys are really good for collecting feedback online. You can collect many pieces of feedback from a very large number of testers, and then you'll be able to see the patterns in the surveys. You're definitely going to want to be documenting both of the feedbacks that you get in these two ways. Okay, so when you're interviewing, sometimes when you're in your test, it's like everything is like a blur because it's all like happening so fast. So you want to have like a notebook, or you could even use your phone recorder to really jot down some of the main insights. You can bring your journey journal as well to the test to jot down some of the key insights and some of the key things that people said. That way you have it again later. And for the surveys, it will all be documented online. If you use an online survey like Google Forms, which we'll talk more about later. Here's the really great thing about documenting your test feedback. Later on, when you're pitching, later on when you're building your business plan, it's a great way that you can demonstrate real evidence, real experience to potential partners, to potential funders, to potential stakeholders in your business later. So you want to get this quantitative and qualitative data documented now, because later on, it will help you to be able to say, somebody said this was the best ribs they had ever had just 1 month into me beginning to build this business. Usually people make a QR code for their survey and a bit.ly and include it on a printout. So you can see here on a beautiful table that we had that the testers can scan right then and there and do it there. It's really good to have a short and brief survey and encourage them to do it there, because that way they don't forget and walk away and never do it. Okay. Another pro tip for your survey, have it be anonymous, because that way people are more likely to tell you their truth than if they have to write their name. So they're more likely to be honest. What will happen is that you'll be able to see patterns of insight from your survey results. Okay, so it's the survey tools are going to let you not just see the individual answers, but at the patterns between the answers from different people about the same question. To learn how to make your feedback form, you're going to want to attend the Turn Skills session this Thursday, the 23rd of June from 4 to 6 p.m. They're going to be teaching us how to use Google Forms, so surveys or questionnaires, to gather information from many people. If you can't make this Turn Skills session because you're working, we will be recording it and you can watch the recording, okay? But this is going to be super helpful if you've never made a form before. Okay, we are going to pop into another breakout now. You can design your test further in your journey journal, pages 23 and 24, and you can document your plans in your roadmap. So you really want to be looking at the how and starting to think about the types of questions that you're going to be asking. Okay, so we're going to go out. We're not going to make 25 minutes. We're going to do 20 minutes, and we're going to come back and just have 5 minutes to discuss what's coming up next. So we'll come back here at 8 o'clock and you will be off the computer by 8:10, I promise. We'll go for 20 minutes. Please plan your test setup. What are you going to bring to decorate? What do you already have? What do you need to get? If you need help getting some of the things for your test, for example, if you need to buy ingredients to make the food for your test, Turn can help you. We have a test budget. So start thinking seriously now about what you need to get so that then you can share that with your Turn coach and we can figure out how to help you get it. Okay. And then start thinking about which questions might help you to gain deep insights. Does anybody have any questions before we break out? Welcome back. I hope you guys are feeling excited. Now, some of you might be feeling a little bit nervous because it's like such a big deal in some ways and just a test and many others. But I just wanted to make sure that you know that you have the full support in all your preparation and plans from your team, your good old team, your coach, and your buddy or another member of Turn staff. During the test and before the test and after the test, you are not alone. So you'll have support on the day and support beforehand. See, here's Ghazal with her coach and her mentor who was there with her to help her produce this amazing test. Okay. Now, you may have noticed there's one thing that we didn't cover, and that is the where and the when. That's because you already know. It's at the Trampery Ballroom in Old Street. Now, you and your buddy, so that they can support you, need to choose which of these days work for you, okay? There cannot be more than 6 per event. So it is first come, first served. And we're going to try to spread the industries out so that there's like a little bit of food at each event and like a little bit of art at each event. So it does matter that you send us and schedule with your buddy which of these 4 slots work, okay? So as I'm just reading these out, I'm going to show you this video that Ellie took of the Trampery. So this is him coming in from the outside. There is an elevator, but if you need to use the elevator, you need to tell us first. So if you need to use the elevator, please tell your coach because they need the access information in advance at the venue. Okay, so this is the Trampery where he's entering. It's in Old Street, as you know. On Thursday, July 7th, you could arrive at 5:30 to set up for the 6:15 to 7:15 p.m. event. Or you could arrive at 7:15 to test during the 8, or on the Friday, you could arrive at 4 o'clock to do a 5 to 6:30 event. Or you could arrive at 6:30 to do a 7:15 to 8:45 p.m. event. Ellie is now entering the ballroom where the test will take place. So you can see how beautiful and spacious it is. There's these wonderful windows that look out over Old Street. And like we said, there will be between 5 and 7 test stations, as well as an ice cream station in this room on the day of the event. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. Woo! So tell your coach as soon as possible which of these events you can do. And if you give us multiple ones, that's better. So then we can make sure that each event is strong and has a lot of interesting tests. Like if you can only do one, then just say one and let us know you can't do any other ones so we can make sure to secure that time for you. Looking ahead, you've got some to-dos. I'm going to suggest a few for you. Coaching session 2. If you haven't scheduled your coaching session yet with your coach, you better get on that. We've been doing it last week, this week, and now next week is going to be the last week. So hopefully everybody's having their second coaching session. Using forms to collect information. Like I said, there's a digital skills training on Thursday between 4 and 6 p.m. to actually learn how to use Google Forms. Bim, bam, boom, so easy. And lastly, workshop 7, not coming up for a few weeks. In terms of your suggested to-dos, I have 3 for you these next 2 weeks during test prep week, okay? You want to prepare your prototype and their table design. What do you already have and what do you need to get? The earlier you can make a list of the things you need and how much those things cost, the earlier you can begin to purchase or procure or find or borrow those things. Okay, so you don't want to leave it till the last minute. Second, we're going to send you a link to schedule a one-to-one test prep meeting with your coach and your buddy. The 3 of us are going to get together in person, especially because we had to move this workshop online. We're going to get together in person to help you prepare for your test here in the Turn office and start thinking about which questions you want to ask. What do you still need to understand better? What do you still need to figure out? And what types of questions are you going to be able to ask the users that will help you to solve those challenges? Last but not least, friends, analyze my test feedback. Obviously not happening until after the test feedback, right? It's going to be Wednesday, July 13th. It's going to be online at 5:45. So no workshops until then, okay? Yay, workshop break. Time for feedback. In exchange for all of our feedback during your test, could you give us some feedback now? You could pick up your phone and you could go to your camera app and you could scan this QR code, or you could go to bit.ly/turnfeedback and let us know what you thought about this workshop. We would love to have at least 5 pieces of feedback for this workshop, because that would allow us to see important patterns in your opinions. So please give us some feedback. It just takes a minute. I'll just leave this slide up for a moment so that you can scan the QR code. Thank you so much, you guys. What a lovely audience. That's a wrap on workshop 6. We are more than halfway through the program now. So give yourselves a pat on the back. You're really doing it. Nice one. Thank you. Good night, everyone.